This is Hank Kunneman. If you're unfamiliar, he's a televangelist, a hate preacher. He's got a mega church, a couple thousand people, I think, 1,500, somewhere in there. He pretends to prophesy all the time. And as it turns out, every time he prophesies, it's about Trump becoming president or Trump being God's man in one way or another. It's insane. So I want to listen to what this guy had to say. This is not part one. If you didn't see the others, don't sweat it. This stands independently of the rest. I'll give context if it's missing. While we listen to this, we're going to play some Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. Just kind of running around doing whatever. Shouldn't bother you too much if you never played before. All right, let's listen to Hank, see what he has to say.
Was pleasured and touched genitals. How many understand that? Right.
Oh, yeah, okay. Leading up to this moment, he tried to make the argument. There's a verse in the Bible where it talks about Noah being naked, right, in his tent, and Ham, his son, their grandson or something, walks in, sees him naked, and then goes and tells his older brothers or something, and then they take a blanket and they turn around and they walk backwards and drop the blanket on him so that they can't see what's happening, you know? And Hank Kunneman is arguing that, well, Ham got cursed after that. It's the curse of Ham. And Hank Kunneman is arguing that the word used there, saw, S-A-W, he saw his dad naked. That word specifically implies he had sexual feelings for him, which is completely false. It is not representative of reality in any way, shape, or form. And I even looked up the word and saw how else it was used in the Bible. So it's just fabricated, just completely made up. Anyway, continue listening to Hank here tell us that the word saw has sexual connotations to it.
If you understand the Hebrew word and where it's brought into other things, it's a very specific organ of the body.
What's a very specific organ? Like, I don't understand.
Genitals, okay? So he saw, enjoyed, was pleasured, and touched genitals. How many understand?
That is not what was being described. Oh my God, dude.
Are you seeing what's happening? Now watch. This was the first recorded homosexual incestual act.
No, it isn't. Are you kidding me? He saw his dad naked and he was cursed for seeing his dad naked. That's it. His brothers didn't also want to be cursed, so they walked in backwards.
Now watch what happens. And he went and he told his two brethren, pay attention. Who are his brethren? Shem. Shem, I want you to look quickly at Genesis 11. I want you to look at, I believe it's verse 13. Look at Shem. Okay?
Okay, I don't know which verse that's in reference to, Genesis 11, but he's in Genesis 9 right now. The book of Genesis is really a collection of like 12 different books or something like that. The first book ends at chapter 2, verse 3.5, really. The second book starts there, halfway through the third verse. And the reason is because when it was separated out and cleaned up, they had no idea that it was like a different book that had been combined over the centuries. It's a different type of literature called Antiquity literature. That's the Latin version of it. That's the Latin name, Antiquity literature. And they just didn't differentiate between facts, myth, and legend. They just got anecdotes. That's what it was all about. They get anecdotes from people, and whether they're real or not is irrelevant. They just put it in the book. That's Antiquity literature. So what we're reading, this whole thing about Noah and Ham and Shem and Japheth and Adam and Eve, it's all Antiquity literature.
Okay? It tells you who Shem is. And Shem, it says, is it 11:13? I gotta quit doing that. I'm quoting it, and I'm not getting it right. Let me get it right. I wanna call it out for what it is, because I want you to see who Shem is. Is it 10? I thought it was 13. 11:10. Thank you. KFAB.
What the hell was that?
Is it 10? I thought it was 13. 11:10. Thank you. KFAB.
I don't know what that means.
These are the generations of Shem. Okay, so I'm going to show you who came out of Shem. I want you to look at verse 26, still talking about the generations of Shem. And Terah lived 70 years and begat who? Abram. This is where the Jews came from. So Shem is where Abraham came from, which led to the lineage of the Jews. Now go back to Genesis 9. I want you to see this. This is extremely important so you know the origins of
Dude, I don't know what he's even getting at right now.
things. All right, in Genesis 9, it says Shem and Japheth. What's Japheth? What's their origin? They are the European nations. They are also what you see with Europe, United Kingdom, Russia. Okay?
I'm sorry? What?
They are also what you see with Europe, United Kingdom, Russia. Okay? Ham went down into Ethiopia.
Oh my God, no. Oh my God. You know what he's doing right now? This dude is going down the same path that the Mormons went down. The curse of Ham is famously, or was at least, famously believed by Mormons to be black skin. Ham was cursed for looking at his dad naked, even though he didn't seem to be interested in it to any degree, but whatever. There's no indication that he was, interested at all, but that's neither here nor there. So Ham looks upon his dad, sees him naked, and gets cursed by having black skin. That's the mark of Ham. Oh my God, dude. That was the excuse used in the Civil War to enslave people. Dead serious. They have the curse of Ham. They're worthless. They might as well be enslaved. Why would we not enslave people who are the descendants of somebody who hurt God so deeply by looking at his dad? Quick note before we continue, I want to let you know I just wrote a book and it's in pre-order status at this immediate moment. If you want to check it out, owenmorgan.com/book. It's a book about my experiences within Jehovah's Witnesses. I go through their doctrine and everything. It's completely understandable if you know nothing about Jehovah's Witnesses. And if you're a Christian, it's a good reference to use for why Jehovah's Witnesses are wrong about their interpretation of the Bible. The last chapter of the book is 100 questions that I have for the governing body. I'm selling the last chapter separately as its own separate guide if you guys want to get that too. So check it out, owenmorgan.com/book. I'd appreciate that. This is insane, dude. I can't even believe he's going down this road. Claiming that Ham's family went to Ethiopia? Of course, zero evidence for any of this.
Also, what you see with Europe, United Kingdom, Russia. Okay, Ham went down into Ethiopia. He went down into places in Africa. Have you ever noticed they called Africa the Dark Continent?
No, I have never noticed that, actually. This is literally the first time I have ever heard that. Has anybody else ever heard Africa referred to as the Dark Continent? Is that, really, really racist? What the hell is happening right now? It's a racist term from the 40s. Okay, wow. That's news to me. Okay.
Have you ever noticed they called Africa the Dark Continent?
People in the background, yep, that's right.
Okay, so there were certain things that came from this sin. Shem and Japheth took a garment. Go to Genesis 3:21. What?
I mean, it's subtle, but it's there. And not even that subtle, honestly. He said, Ham was cursed with black skin. That's effectively what he said. And he went into Ethiopia and had a whole bunch of kids there. With what wife? Got me. They were the only people on planet Earth. He just went there and reproduced asexually, I guess. And, had a bunch of kids that way. I'm sorry. And had a whole bunch of black kids that way. Anyway, this is just insane. I can't believe he's even going down this road. This is absolutely nuts.
Garment was that? Well, it says, Josephus writes, he's an ancient historian, as well as the book of Jasher. You say, well, why would you quote the book of Jasher? I'm not basing a doctrine off of it. Please don't accuse me of that. But you will find in Joshua chapter 10, verse 13, when Joshua commands the sun to stand still, it quotes in Joshua 10:13, as it is written in the book of Jasher. The book of Jasher is mentioned at least 3 times in Scripture, didn't make the canon of Scriptures. However, the book of
Jasher? I've never heard of Jasher before, actually, surprisingly. And I thought that I'd at least heard of all of the non-canonical or apocryphal books. Let me look. Let's see if I can find this out. The book of Jasher. Quick interjection, this won't take long. If you like what I do, I'd appreciate it if you watch the video to the end. YouTube bases video reach off of watch time, so watching even an extra minute makes the video go further. Liking and subscribing goes a long way too. Finally, it would be awesome if you guys checked out my Patreon. All links are in the description, of course. Okay, back to the video. Okay, well, it appears to be in Apocrypha, like in apocryphal writings and stuff. The Book of Jasher, biblical book. All right, here we go. The Book of Jasher, also spelled Jasher, Jashar, which means the Book of Upright, or the Book of the Just Man, is a lost book mentioned in the Hebrew Bible, often interpreted as a lost non-canonical book. Numerous forgeries purporting to be rediscovered copies of this lost book have been written. A different interpretation identifies it as a reference to the Pentateuch, an interpretation which is notably favored by the Jewish scholar Rashi in his commentary on the Hebrew Bible. Okay, so Jasher is a lost book. We do not have a copy. It's only referenced in the Bible, but we don't have a copy of it. Okay, is he about to tell me what's in the Book of Jasher?
Okay, so there were certain things that came from this sin. Shem and Japheth took a garment. Go to Genesis 3:21. What garment was that? Well, it says, Josephus writes, he's an ancient historian, as well as the book of Jasher. You say, well, why would you quote the book of Jasher? I'm not basing a doctrine off of it. Please don't accuse me of that.
Okay, that we don't have a book of Jasher. And what about Josephus? He isn't going to tell us about Josephus? But just to be sure, I was trying to figure out, did somebody write, or did Josephus write Jasher? No. Josephus wrote the complete set called Antiquity, I believe. And it was just like, he was a historian in the area of Jesus around the time that Jesus was around. And he wrote about Jesus at various points. There were forgeries, under his name and things like that. That's why Josephus is so relevant to Christians. But what does that have to do with Jasher?
Well, it says, Josephus writes, he's an ancient historian, as well as the book of Jasher. You say, well, why would you quote the book of Jasher? I'm not basing a doctrine off of it. Please don't accuse me of that. But you will find in Joshua chapter 10, verse 13, when...
Wait, now we're in Joshua? What happened to Jasher and Josephus? I don't understand. He's like all over the place right now. Is he just throwing out names so that he looks like he knows what he's talking about, so he looks cool? Is that what's happening?
The book of Jasher. I'm not basing a doctrine off of it. Please don't accuse me of that. But you will find in Joshua chapter 10, verse 13, when Joshua commands the sun to stand still, it quotes in Joshua 10:13, as it is written in the book of Jasher. The book of Jasher is mentioned at least 3 times in Scripture. Didn't make the canon of Scriptures.
Well, it didn't make it into the modern world. We just don't have a copy, apparently. So it's not that it didn't make it into the canon. It was forged a number of times. It's just not, we don't have a copy.
However, the book of Jasher, as well as Josephus, tells you what this garment is. In Genesis 3:21, after...
Wait, Jasher tells us what this garment is? I'm about to die. I'm gonna die. I died. Oh, heck. Am I wrong here? Is Jasher real? Hold on. Let me just really dig into this, find out. Do we have a copy of Jasher? Let's go here. It's mentioned in Joshua and Samuel and in Kings. As far as I can tell, we do not have a copy. Different interpretation, forgeries, purporting to blah, blah, blah. This doesn't seem to have any references. That's annoying. Damn. I only ever really use Wikipedia for its references, and we don't appear to have any here. That's really disappointing. The only sources I'm getting here are like Christians, like r/true Christian or gotquestions.org. Those are all Christian sources. Christianity Stack Exchange. Like, what the hell? Let's go to airmanblog.com and see if we can find Jasher. I have like a platinum membership here. All right. Jasher. No posts about Jasher with an E or with an A. I don't think that we have a copy of Jasher. I'm looking here, and I cannot find any evidence that Jasher exists today. Somebody please correct me if I'm wrong. If you can find it, then tell me. I want to know if this is wrong. David Hashman, you hear about the guy who decapitated his 65-year-old grandfather? Yes, I did. On YouTube. He did it on YouTube. And it was up for like hours. I mean, what can YouTube do? They can't watch every single thing. There's only so much they can do to moderate. But it was disturbing to know that this dude did what he did. His dad was a federal employee. Dude was 32 years old. His dad was, I think, 63, maybe? There's not a known legitimate copy of the book. I would check with Dr. Kip Davis or Dr. Joshua Bowen. Yeah, Josh Bowen doesn't really like me, sadly. We had a bit of a falling out. I'm not happy about that. I didn't want this falling out to happen. It just played out that way. Don't ask. Yeah, just don't ask. I'll tell the story one day. Anyway, yeah, the whole 65. No, it was his dad, not his grandfather, I believe. 32 years old, 63-year-old dad, if I'm not mistaken. Thanks, David Hashman, for the message. Disturbing stuff, man, for real. Owen uses grass Pokemon against flying type and wonders how I wasn't paying any attention, okay? Give me a break. I was thinking that I was in water area. I wasn't even looking at the screen. I was just hitting the attack button because my Pokemon are powerful enough that I can usually one-hit KO anything. Josh Bowen, if anyone is unfamiliar with him, I believe that he is an expert of the Near East and the Middle East, of Assyrian culture. Basically, he's an expert in ancient Babylon and earlier, and in that area. Extremely knowledgeable, goes to conferences to speak as a guest speaker frequently, knows all of the top people in the field, very, very knowledgeable about. And he's married to one Megan Lewis. Megan Lewis just stopped talking to us. And Josh Bowen, of course, stopped talking as well because he's married to Megan. So, yeah, of course he'd stop talking to everybody else. It was just really sad, man. It's just sad. We were close friends. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. The point is, I can't ask Josh Bowen because he presumably does not like me. I can check with Kip Davis if you want. Sure, if you want to find out. Yeah, just let me know if Jasher is real. Yeah, ask Bart Ehrman. He would know what's up. I searched his blog, and there's absolutely no mention of Jasher, surprisingly. So, as far as I can tell, Jasher does not exist, or we don't have like a legitimate copy of it.
However, the book of Jasher as well as Josephus tells you what this garment is. In Genesis 3:21, after Adam and Eve sinned, God took and God wasn't against fur coats. And God took and got a coat of skins. Notice they were
God wasn't against fur coats. Is that what he just said?
They were plural. They were coats. That's why you have the S after coat. Skins. You have.
Not sure if or when Dr. Kip will reply. No sweat. I didn't think I'd get a reply now. I figured maybe next week or something you could tell me. But I did get a reply from Tomer and Lawrence. They confirm that Jasher is a lost work and that there is Midrashic book that claims to be the book of Jasher. Okay, interesting. So as far as anybody can tell, it's fake.
God took and God wasn't against fur coats. And God took and...
What a bizarre thing to say, Adam. No, God's not against fur coats, okay?
Got a coat of skins. Notice they were plural. They were coats. That's why you have the S after coat. Skins. You have S after skin. And
what point is he getting at? That there were more than one skins?
He gave one to Adam and he gave one to Eve. Don't ever say, I'm going to teach on it coming up, that women should not preach. This was the first example of a mantle given by God for the woman Eve, the helpmate, to function in the earth. And the other garment was given to Adam to function in the earth to restore the glory that was lost.
Oh, that's interesting. So this guy is saying that God wants women to preach, even though 2 Timothy 2:12, I think it is, or 1 Timothy 2:12, one of them, specifically says women should not teach. They should be quiet. They should be in subjugation to a man. Oh, man, that's interesting. Well, I have to say, the letters to Timothy, or the letters of Timothy or whatever, the books of Timothy were purportedly written by Paul, right? Dude that came along long after Jesus, 3 years after, give or take, didn't even know Jesus, was trying to form out the hierarchy in the church, trying to take control of it. And he succeeded. He succeeded in making his way to the top of the Christian church and forming out a hierarchy and a strict belief system, by and large. The thing is, everybody believes that Paul was like misogynistic because he put that line in Timothy about women not teaching, right? Timothy 2:12. Is it 2 Timothy or 1 Timothy? I don't remember. Hold on. Yeah, it's 1 Timothy. My mistake. I permit no woman to teach or to have authority over a man. She is to keep silent. The interesting thing about this verse, 1 Timothy 2:12, is that though it's believed that Paul wrote Timothy, it's known beyond a shadow of a doubt that Paul did not write that verse. That was added later by scribes. Only about 10% of the world in Antiquity could even read. Only 10% were literate. And the only ones that could really read or write were scribes. And by the way, those two capabilities were not, God, what's the word I'm looking for? We're not, the word's on the tip of my tongue. People couldn't necessarily read if they could write, and vice versa. That was not a guarantee. Anyway, scribes would come along and see that Paul or Jesus or whatever was trying to push the church in a certain direction, and they did not like the direction in which it was being pushed. So these scribes decided to change the language. They decided to modify what it said. And that is exactly how that verse about not permitting a woman to teach made its way into the Bible. It was not written by Paul. It was added by scribes. And nobody knew any better than to remove it because nobody could read except for the scribes themselves, pretty much. So if we're looking at the Bible in its original context and intent, there was never a time in which women were not allowed to teach, or there's never an issue with, women getting involved in any of this stuff. Like, Jesus was fine with women being involved in everything. So the idea that women aren't allowed to teach or whatever is all fabricated nonsense. It came after the fact. Congruent. Maybe the word was congruent. I'm not sure. Anyway. What Hank is saying here is really interesting. He has the correct position for the incorrect reasons. He says women are allowed to teach because, his wife Brenda is one of the pastors there. But he's coming up with this weird, windy explanation about the book of Genesis and Eve receiving some special mandate and these furs that God gave him. Blah, 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 blah. Instead of just admitting that Paul did not add that verse in. That was added by scribes who didn't like the fact that women were involved in teaching. That's just so interesting to me. Okay, let's listen to his whole justification for thinking it's okay for women to teach.
And he gave one to Eve. Don't ever say, I'm going to teach on it coming up, that women should not preach. This was the first example of a mantle given by God for the woman Eve, the helpmate, to function in the earth. And the other garment was given to Adam to function in the earth, to restore the glory that was lost. That's why he mantled them. That's why he gave them clothes. And they were dripping.
Okay, I'm trying to understand his reasoning here. I'm kind of lost. I have no clue what he's talking about or how he has come to justify thinking women can teach. I mean, again, he's correct. He's just correct for the wrong reasons.
First with blood, because it was a type of atonement. Okay, now you have to understand that. Notice it was a couples ministry. Eve was called a helpmate, so God likes when husbands and wives work together.
Okay, so I guess his justification is that Eve was encouraged to help Adam with things. Yeah, I mean, women can help. That's never been in question. Women are allowed to help, but they're not allowed to teach personally themselves in a lot of modern churches. So the verse he's giving me does not debunk the already existing belief.
That's why don't be divided in your marriage. Now, let's go on. We're gonna discover something. So they took that garment, and ancient writings will tell you, man, that the devil has been after mantles for years. He's been after that power for years. And it's what that Shem, the Jews, right? European nations walk backwards. You look at, for the most part, through history, there's been a blessing on the European nations. There's been blessings upon, the Israelites, correct? Even certain things of America and all the ancestry that has come.
I'm sorry? Certain things of America and all the ancestry that's come? What is he talking about? I mean, it sounds like what he's talking about right now is the idea that certain Jewish tribes came up over the Caucasus Mountains through like the Russia area and came to the Great British Isles, which is the precursor or the prerequisite to the belief that Donald Trump is the Son of Man, the Christ. Basically, he's here to fulfill Jesus' role on earth. Is that what he's talking about? It seems like it.
You look at how this one act of covering with this garment, that anointing, how it reached out with blessing. Now look what happens. They took the garment, they went backwards, they covered the nakedness of their father, okay? Covered the part that was exposed.
Right, so he's talking about when Ham walked into the tent, saw his dad naked, and came out, told his brothers or whatever, and his brothers walked in backwards with a garment to cover the dad up so that they didn't see him naked, basically, right? And Ham was cursed for seeing his dad naked and had his skin turned black.
And they did not see their father's nakedness. They didn't enjoy it. They didn't look at it.
Oh yeah. If you didn't see the other episode, Hank said that the word see in that context really meant enjoy, and it was the first homosexual act. Obviously complete nonsense. I looked up the word in the other episode to see if that's what it meant, and no, that is not what it meant. It just meant observe, like look at. Oh, he came in and he observed that his dad was naked.
They went backwards. They covered the nakedness of their father, okay? Covered the part that was exposed. And they did not see their father's nakedness. They didn't enjoy it. They didn't look at it. They didn't touch it. They didn't commit sin.
Okay. Didn't touch it, you say? I hope not. That's not implied anywhere. Ham did not touch it, enjoy it, or look at it, or whatever. He just saw it and then bolted out and told his brothers, and that was it. All that other stuff that Hank is adding on top of it is just fabricated nonsense.
But verse 24 tells you that it was the origin. There was a homosexual, incestual act that took place.
Woo, I got the Articuno. What, verse 12? Say that again?
See their father's nakedness. They didn't enjoy it. They didn't look at it. They didn't touch it. They didn't commit sin. But verse 24 tells you that it was the origin. There was a homosexual, incestual act that took place.
Okay, interesting. So verse 24 says, Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done to him. What did his younger son do? Talk about Ham. Let's look up the original language here. Genesis 9:24. And let's look it up in the NRSV also. When Noah awoke from his wine, knew what his youngest son had done to him. Okay, that's the language in the NRSV. In the interlinear Bible, the language is as follows. Younger his son to him had done what? Blank. There's no direct translation for that word. And knew from his wine Noah and awoke. Interesting. So the word I'm looking for here is had done. What he had done. Some other contexts in the Bible in which that phrase had done is used are all in Genesis, apparently, or mostly. We got some in Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy. Just a couple of examples here. He did to you what he did to you in the wilderness, what he did to Dathan and Abram, which they will do, for they will turn, blah, blah, blah. Of the people, he executed the justice. Okay, so it sounds like it was an action that he took. Moses performed in the sight of blah, blah, blah. Yeah, sounds like it was an action. Was that action to observe? He knew what his younger son had done. which is to observe that he was naked. Is that what's being said? I mean, I have no reason to believe that this is the first gay act. Absolutely no reason whatsoever right now. It sounds like Hank is just like making this up. Am I off base here? Is it fair to think that Hank is just making this up? In Hebrew, see is reve. In joy is nehe, na, totally different. Okay, so the word is ree, or something, R-E-E-H, I guess. The word in the original language is R-E-E-H. Well, I'll tell you this, at the very least, no matter what, hang on, let me see. Yeah, wayar seems to be the word here. I'm not sure, but I'll tell you this much. This is what I do know. I don't know if it's implying there was a homosexual act or not. I have no clue. But I can tell you that we don't actually have the original words. We don't know what was originally said by these people or what was originally written down. All we have are copies of copies of copies of copies of copies of books that were written thousands and thousands of years ago. And we honestly have no way of being sure that these books are accurate to any degree at all. And looking at the tenses of words, looking at the way that they're used, or looking at the pronouns used and all of that stuff is fraught and ridiculous. It's a waste of time. There are absolutely word changes here or there in the Bible. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, there are slight word changes. So the idea that Hank is dissecting this into the ground by using specific tenses and words, like the word done instead of saw, or the word saw actually meant enjoy or whatever, it's all completely made up nonsense. Jehovah's Witnesses actually do this exact same thing with the claim that Michael the Archangel is Jesus. That's one of their claims. Michael the Archangel is Jesus. So if you don't know this claim by Jehovah's Witnesses, I wrote about it in detail in my upcoming book and completely debunk it. So let me just give you Jehovah's Witnesses arguments on it. They have three arguments that they believe prove unequivocally that Michael the Archangel is Jesus. They point out, to start, that the word archangel means chief angel. Now, this is just me talking. The word angel means messenger, and arch means chief. So it means chief messenger, main messenger, for example. So in the Bible, Michael is referred to as the chief messenger. But chief messenger could just as well be a category of person, or of angel, right? Like, for example, the governing body. Jehovah's Witnesses use the fact that the word the is in the Bible there to describe the chief angel. The chief angel means there is only one chief angel. It's singular, the, not multiple, not plural. But that doesn't make any sense, because the governing body refers to 9 different people in a set, right? The governing body is a group of things. The anointed refers to 144,000 people. So that's just like completely nonsensical. They're pulling apart a word, the, that may not have even been in the original book. It may not have been written or intended, but they're picking apart word by word to come up with ridiculous doctrine, just to knock down the Michael the Archangel is Jesus argument. Hebrews 1:13 says, "But to which of the angels has he ever said, 'Sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet'? None. God has never invited angels to sit at his right hand. Never. But Jesus will sit at God's right hand, according to the Bible." That means either Jesus is just another angel, or he's something more. Jesus is definitely something more, according to the Bible. And that being the fact that Jesus is not an angel makes Hebrews 1:13 clearly destroy the Michael the Archangel claim. Oh my God, I did not mean to use Dragonair there. Daniel 10:13 also kind of destroys their claim about Michael the Archangel. It says, so Michael, one of the chief princes, you catch that? One of the chief princes. You know what? Let's read it from Jehovah's Witnesses translation, the New World Translation. Then Michael, one of the foremost princes, came to help me, and I remained there beside the king of Persia. Interesting, huh? One of the foremost princes. Weird. I mean, it's obvious that Jehovah's Witnesses are wrong on this Michael the Archangel thing, right? I don't know how it could be any more clear. But they played this game of finding a word here or there, the word like the word "the" in the sentence, and used that as the premise of the claim that Jesus is Michael. It's absolutely absurd to play those games. That is exactly what Hank Kunneman has done this entire time. He says the word saw implies enjoyment. No, it doesn't. And who is even to say that the word saw was originally there in that verse? Then what was the other thing he said?
The part that was exposed. And they did not.
Oh, yeah, he said the word done. Noah knew what his other son had done to him. You're using words that were written thousands of years ago by different people over generations and generations. You have no clue if this is the original word. This argument that he's giving here, that this is the first gay act, is equally as ridiculous to me as the claim that Jehovah's Witnesses make about Michael the Archangel being Jesus. And then that Jesus is actually the divine creator. Seriously, Jehovah's Witnesses believe Jesus created everything. God creates Jesus. Jesus makes everything else. Dead serious with this. These people are a joke. Jehovah's Witnesses are a joke. Hank Kunneman is a joke. Anybody that dissects the Bible word by word like this is a joke. We have the rough estimation of what the writers probably meant. At best, we don't have exact words. Don't try to dissect it that way. You make a fool of yourself.
But verse 24 tells you that it was the origin. There was a homosexual, incestual act that took place. I'm going to give you another reason besides this one. I already showed you what that word saw meant. Noah.
Well, he told us what the word saw meant. He was wrong. He said it meant enjoyed. No, it didn't.
I already showed you what that word saw meant. Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done. He must have known. He didn't just know that he looked. He must have touched and did something that had some kind of memory trigger with Noah. And
dude, this is weird and disturbing, and I don't know why he's going down this road. It's like, there's no reason to believe any of this from Hank Kunneman. But it's weird to me that this is what Hank is latching onto. That Hank, took this one word from this book and expanded the whole thing out to build out this big, ridiculous story about Ham being gay. What is going through the guy's head that all he seems to think about is how he can prove that Ham might have been gay based on, the verbiage of this one verse, of this word? What is happening?
Some kind of physical evidence. He could recall it. And he woke up, and the first thing he says is, "Cursed be Canaan." Wait a minute, but how do we know that Canaan was involved? Now, there's some theologians.
Okay, Canaan, I believe, was Ham's son, and I guess the claim is that Canaan was the basically father of all Canaanites. I mean, that's completely inaccurate and absolutely ridiculous, but I think that's the claim, right?
Is cursed be Canaan. Wait a minute, but how do we know that Canaan was involved? Now, there's some theologians say that Ham went and told his son, and his son actually did it, but you can't prove that. I think you got to stay with what you see. You got to go then to Exodus.
He says you can't prove that. You got to stay with what you see. Really? Suddenly you're a skeptic, huh?
You can't prove that. I think you got to stay with what you see. You got to go then to Exodus 34, where God says that the iniquities of the fathers. Again, it wasn't sins, it wasn't transgressions, it wasn't, it was iniquity. Purposeful sins of the fathers are passed down to their what? To their children.
Yeah, that was completely undone, later on in the Bible. Children cannot be punished for what their parents did or for what their father did or whatever. aside from that, Hank was using this word iniquity way earlier in this, like a few parts ago, I think. And he was using it wrong. Let me just look it up one more time. Iniquity means immoral or grossly unfair behavior. Okay? So let's listen to how Hank uses the word iniquity now. See if he's using it right this time. By the by, Patriot of the West. I'm sorry. Patriot of the West. Thank you so much for the bits. Translations back and silver and a Mormon quad. Do you know which books are core doctrine to Baha'i? As I'm building a Yahweh library for missionaries. I already have a Quran by Muhammad Ali. I'm not sure. I cannot say. I'm sorry. I have a couple New World translations. Got it. Black and silver. Okay, you got the silver sword and the original black. And a Mormon quad. I'm not sure which ones are core doctrine to the Baha'i, actually. No, I don't know. I know they followed one guy, though. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, thank you for the bits.
Sins, it wasn't transgressions, it wasn't, it was iniquity. Purposeful sins of the fathers are passed down to their what? To their children.
Okay, iniquity means gross immorality.
God said in Exodus 34, verse 6, unto 4 generations. Sexual sin was 10 generations. Stay away from sexual sin. Okay, not only does it ruin you, but it'll ruin...
That's Old Testament. That was undone. Why is he talking about this? He knows this is undone, doesn't he? This is like reversed.
Generations and generations, up to 10 generations. Well, we've been redeemed from the curse. Well, sure you have, but iniquity still knocks.
What are you talking about? He just said, we've been redeemed from the curse. Yes, I realize that this does not apply anymore. I realize that God undid the rule that you're punished for 10 generations for homosexuality or whatever. Yeah, I realize that. But immorality is still there. No, it's not. The curse was broken. Are you kidding? You just contradicted your own position. What is he going on about right now? This guy is so full of shit, and he expects everybody to just accept what he's saying and not, challenge him or look it up or respond or whatever. This is a joke.
And you got to know how to say no. You got to know how to stand for what's right. But
you got to know how to say no when somebody wants to get you into sexual sin. Okay.
Cursed be Canaan. The children always pay for the sins of their fathers. And the servant shall be unto his brethren. Who did they fight against? Now, why is that curse so effective? I want you to go. Cursed be who? Canaan, even though Ham did it. Now go to Genesis chapter 10.
Oh, okay, yeah. So Canaan was Ham's son, and Ham was cursed for seeing his dad naked. Not for doing anything with him, but for seeing him naked. Simple as that. But in Hank's mind, it was more. Okay.
I want you to look at verse 26. Look at the cities that were part of Canaan. All right? You have to understand, or 19. We go to 19. Thank you guys back there. It's 19. And the border of the Canaanites was Sidon. Why is Sidon so important? Well, go to Luke 10 in your research and you will see that Jesus called out Tyre and he called out what? Sidon. They were wicked. There was wickedness. These evil spirits were working through them. It's what we see today in Freemasonry, globalism, socialism, communism.
I'm sorry?
Woke. Come on, you got to speak our language. That was the Tower of Babel, right? It's our language. Right? It's what we're saying. It's all one. We're all one. Yeah, it's globalism. Come. Nimrod, who is the chief builder, Freemason. Come build. I'm the king and you just serve me. Come on.
Dude, what is he talking about? He says that he just tried to tie Freemasonry, like the Illuminati, if you will. He tried to tie that back to communism and socialism and the Tower of Babel. What? I don't understand. What the hell is he talking about? This is bizarre. By the way, guys, quick note. I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but I have a Discord server, owenmorgan.com/Discord. And on aforementioned Discord server, before the stream every week, like Sundays, 7:30 or 8. I think I'm moving the stream up. I'm going to start it at 8 p.m. instead, so I'll be talking to people at 7:30. Before the stream starts, 7:30, I get on Discord and I just talk to people. So if you guys want to just join the Discord and talk to me, then you can do that. Just hang out for like 30 minutes and chat. Anyway, just want to let you know.
Sounds like communism and socialism and globalism to me.
What sounds like those things? The verse said, "And the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon, as thou comest to Gerar, unto Gaza, as thou goest unto Sodom and Gomorrah and Admah and Zeboim, even unto Lasha." What sounds like socialism and or communism to you about that? I'm lost.
Globalism. Come, Nimrod, who is the chief builder, Freemason. Come build. I'm the king and you just serve me. Come on, sounds like communism and socialism and globalism.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't know what he's talking about.
To me. All right, and look at the next one. They came to Gerar, and unto who? Gaza. What's in the news today? Gaza.
Wow, are you trying to tell me that a country that exists today also existed way back then? How about that? Who knew? Next, you're going to tell me that China still exists.
And you go unto what? Sodom and what? Okay. Noah knew what happened to him by Ham, his son. So he curses his grandson. And look at the towns. Every one of those cities were corrupt, perverse cities.
Sodom and Gomorrah, they were not destroyed because of like perverse, quote unquote, activities or because people there were gay or whatever. It was because of their ill treatment of the poor. They just so happened to discover that there were gay people there when they arrived. That's it.
And territories. Do you think that's a coincidence? No. Because what that curse did, they began to act out.
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh my God, dude. I understand what he's saying. So Canaanites lived in the area among Jews all the way back forever ago, like 1200 BCE. They lived in the same area. Well, the origin literature, the Antiquity literature from the book of Genesis describes Canaan, the Canaanites, as having come from the man Canaan, which was the son of Ham. And Ham was, I believe, the son of Noah. And he was cursed by Noah, or by God, I guess, because he saw Noah naked, basically. And he was given black skin, dark skin. I mean, this is all the exact same argument that slavers used in the Civil War all the way back in 1860-something in the United States. But okay. So anyway, I guess he's saying that Canaan was the son of Ham, and he was the father of Sodom and Gomorrah and Gaza and Gerar and Sidon and some others. But he's saying Gaza and Sodom and Gomorrah are exactly the same effectively. And apparently in his mind, they're all like gay. Everybody there is gay because they have the curse of Ham. So I guess the curse of Ham is black skin and being gay, right? Is that what he's saying? Being gay came from Ham and black people? This is wild.
They began to act out. This is why you got to stand against injustice. This is why preachers can't be quiet. This is why churches can't be wuss. Christians can't be woke.
Dude, this is so painfully stupid. Let me write this down, actually. It might be worth it. 142. Curse of Ham means you have black skin and you're gay. Got it.
Are you hearing me? Now, go back to Genesis 9 or 10. And let's look at verse 6. Genesis 10:6. So now that you understand the cities, I want you to see the origins. So now, and this is extremely important that you understand this in Genesis 10:6. Now,
oh, please don't tell me he's going to pick apart every single word and the tense and the past participles and the everything else's again.
Look at the sons of Ham, the one who did this. Look at who his kids are, and look at the nations that they were a part of and geographically, okay? Cush, you have...
Again, this is Antiquity literature. It didn't differentiate between fact, myth, and legend. Noah was not a real person. Adam and Eve were not literally real people.
Cush in there. His name, you have to pay attention to Cush. Cush was called Bel, B-E-L. Okay, where do you think they get Belshazzar? Come on. Where do you think they get a certain form of Beelzebub?
Okay, I don't think any of these things are connected to each other. Because he's saying the name Cush also means Bel? Were they speaking Aramaic at the time? I think it was Aramaic, right? Oh my God, I just got absolutely bodied by that dude. I think they're speaking Aramaic or maybe Hebrew. Maybe it was Hebrew. I'm not sure. Either way, Belshazzar was a Babylonian person, not a Hebrew person, not a Jewish person. It was the son of Nebuchadnezzar, I think. I forget. The book of Daniel incorrectly claims that Belshazzar was a king. He was not. He was the son of a king or something.
Do you think they get some of these names? Bel means labor, co. And Cush, he comes up and he...
Bel means labor? I'm sorry, man. I feel like I have to look up everything this guy says. Does Bel mean labor? I don't even know how I'd go about finding this out. I think this guy's just making this up, straight up. None of those are connected to Baal. Bel, Belshazzar, etc. are all quite different. Yeah, that's what I thought. What is he going on about right now? This makes no sense.
Is part of Saudi Arabia and different places in the Middle East. You see Mizraim. Now pay attention to Mizraim. Mizraim was the father of the Egyptian Empire. And Mizraim, it's very important. What did Israel have to face against Pharaoh? Socialism. Come make bricks for us. Come work for us. Be controlled by us. Right? We give you your paycheck. We distribute.
Wait. He's describing capitalism right now. You work for us and we will give you your paycheck. That's capitalism, bro. That's not socialism. What? When there's an exchange of money, it's communism.
Come make bricks for us. Come work for us. Be controlled by us. Right? We give you your paycheck. We distribute equally among you as slaves. Right?
Wait. God, dude, there's so much wrong with this. Oh my God, I have to write this down too. 143.50. Slaves, having slaves is socialism. How else am I supposed to read this? He just said socialism. They were encouraging socialism. They distributed equally among the slaves. What?
Come on, slavery came out of this. All of this you can see from Mizraim. Now, you have to do this, right? Psalm 106, verse 22. Because Mizraim in Psalm 106, verse 22 is called the land of Ham. Egypt is called the land of Ham. Can you believe that? Now,
Israel's called the land of Ham. I've never heard that before.
What did Israel have such a hard time? God had to send plagues. He had to challenge their magicians, not musicians. They're magicians. He had to challenge that occult. Well, where did that occult come from? Nimrod. It came from Ham. It came from that curse. And Put stayed put. He was mostly in Libya.
I am just lost, dude. I have no clue what he's talking about. And I'm sitting on the other end of this equation with a spacebar button that I can hit anytime I'm lost and a rewind feature. I can rewind and try to figure this out anytime it just does not add up. Imagine the audience right now, what they're thinking and how they're feeling and how they just... I would bet anything these people have no idea what he's talking about and are completely lost. I would put money on it. Just for S&Gs, I Googled, did Ham R Noah? And apparently this is an ongoing conversation / debate. And apparently an old interpretation. Really? Apparently is an old interpretation. I did not realize that. Maybe I should look into this in more detail in that case. Hold on, let's see. Curse of Ham. Bart Ehrman knows a lot about the Bible, but he's a New Testament scholar, not an Old Testament one. So I was hoping he'd have something on it, but he doesn't appear to. Curse of Ham. Yeah, I'm not even sure. I don't know if there's anything to this or what, but I do know that these people are basing their whole belief system that Ham took advantage of his dad, if you will. I know they're basing that. It's still dinging. How do I stop that dinging? Are you guys hearing the dinging, or is that just me hearing it? I do know that they're basing this whole belief system about Ham taking advantage of his dad. They're basing it on the tenses and the verbiage and the past participles of all of this stuff. And that's just stupid. It's just a stupid thing to do. We didn't know what the original language was. To base an entire doctrine, a whole belief system, off of a single word and how it is used in one verse, in one chapter, in one book of the Bible that's 3,500 years old, give or take. It's just absurd. Been rewritten countless times. It was written before the printing press even existed. You cannot base things off of a single verse or a single word like that. You can't. When reading between the lines goes too far. Exactly. Ben Briggs, by the by, I did see your message about Google Translate. I appreciate the message. As I said yesterday, there's some debate about what it meant in the book about Ham and Noah. Some scholars say Noah was essayed, and some say it has nothing to do with that. Okay, well, I guess we've found where Hank Kunneman falls on that spectrum, haven't we? I mean, go figure. The guy is obsessed with being gay and how evil it is and all this other junk. Of course he's going to interpret it in the absolute worst way possible. We've already seen a ton of examples of Hank Kunneman taking certain specific verses that were hateful and vengeful and wrathful and angry and violent and running with those and specifically discarding and ignoring verses about being a good person and being loving, love your neighbor, be slow to anger and violence, turn the other cheek and all that stuff. I mean, the dude said, I only have 4 cheeks, so when I turn all of my cheeks, I'm going to have to retaliate, is basically what he said before. Anyway, let me know what you think about this dude in the comments. This is shameless, dude. This guy is absolutely terrible.